Hey everyone, welcome to Bite-Sized Pixels, where we take a bite out of a game, but not more than we can chew. I'm Farhan, she's M, and today, the game that we're going to talk about is...
Destiny 2! Hooray! Alright, so Destiny 2 is a looter shooter made by Bungie, they're very famous for, making Halo and, well, Destiny. They're also very well known for making, very good feeling, shooting mechanics and whatnot.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Destiny, the game that I have a love-hate relationship with. I loved it at one point, and now I hate it, so...
Same.
Alright, so, if you don't know, Destiny 2 is a looter-shooter type of game, which means it's an RPG, so you go around trying to increase your power level by collecting new loot, and the new loot comes in form of new armor pieces or new weapons. So there are many different types of weapons, like SMGs, assault rifles, even bows, swords, that kind of stuff. And they have a lot of variety in the weapons and stuff. So yeah, the essentially the gameplay loop is you do activities to collect loot and use that loot to make yourself more powerful.
Yeah.
And you and seasonally they will introduce new exotic armor, which is their final tier of armor that's supposed to be the most powerful or the most rare. That's a rough rundown of the gameplay loop. We'll get more into that in this episode.
And what you are is basically considered a guardian. Basically, a guardian is gifted powers by this weird moon rock thing called the Traveler that sort of landed on Earth or near Earth. And along with the Traveler came the darkness, and you have to beat the darkness, which is trying to consume the rest of the galaxy, including Earth and whatnot with it.
Yeah, well, that about sums up the story.
Yes,
so,
TLDR, men fight darkness.
Yeah, that's a very rough rundown of it. TLDR, men fight darkness. Wow.
I know. I'm so succinct.
Yeah, definitely super succinct. So, I guess we can get into the nitty gritty of it. So, let's start with year one. So this game goes by essentially a yearly basis. So every year they would release one huge expansion. So obviously when the game launched, it's year one, and they launched with the Red War arc. That was fine. I guess the Red War was a good starting point, which is strange to say because right now with the whole new light thing, which is the way newer Guardians start now, it's actually worse than the Red War. I think it's a lot more confusing, whereas the Red War was a nice straight campaign to introduce you to the new characters or the gunplay or the powers. I think it was good in that sense. And the story was aight. It wasn't spectacular, but it was aight. So, but yeah, there were a lot of problems with year one. There were no special weapons at the time, so weapons had a really slow time to kill, even in the Crucible. When they released their the first expansion, Curse of Osiris, it was very badly received because it was a subpar story. And the raid was good, but the raids are always good, so almost an expectation at this point.
Yeah, and Curse of Osiris happens on Mercury, which is a really, really weird planet. It's very, very tiny and you can use vehicles, but also there's this other weird portal you can take. But in general, it's just a pain and a slog to explore and run around. And
that's for sure. It was awful. Mercury was so annoying. I'm glad they allowed sparrows on it finally, but then they wiped it out because of sunsetting, but whatever. We'll talk about that later.
Classic Bungie.
But yeah. So yeah, Curse of Osiris wasn't well received because it wasn't that good. And Warmind was alright. Warmind was fine. I think Warmind was much better received than Curse of Osiris. Mars was a much better location. Was much bigger, was much more atmospheric as well. Spire of Stars was harder than Eater of Worlds, but I think that's just a matter of your own preference. It's just subjective, that one.
Yeah. I do think that people also really like the weapons that came out in Warmind because they were themed really nicely after that futuristic Mars technology and whatnot, otherwise known as So basically, the quick gist of it is that there's this huge like AI created in the past when they had a golden age of tech, who's like known as this war mind, who's like almost like an AI god, if you will.
Yeah, I guess that's an okay way to put it. Yeah, AI. Sort of. I thought that. Honestly, yeah, that's fine. You know what? AI god, let's go with it.
Yeah, so they also have this thing called Siva. I'm quite honestly, I don't really know too much about that. It's just more like technological stuff, I guess. But yeah, basically the weapons were nicely themed. At the time, there was also this special weapon you could do this insane grind for that was pretty overpowered for its time, but soon after it got nerfed to the ground. So, but at the time it was much better than something like Curse of Osiris.
Yeah, definitely, of course. But yeah, that was year one. Year one, it was not really remarkable, I guess. But I would say year two was when it really. I think year two is when it really picked up, wasn't it? Like with Forsaken and all that. Forsaken was great.
Oh my god, yes.
Forsaken was Forsaken was basically like a turning point for them.
I feel like the second year was definitely the peak of Destiny 2 because Forsaken, the story itself was fantastic. I think it was insanely well received. The entire gameplay and like the maps that they had and the environments for it were very, very well like themed and executed.
Yep.
And spoiler alert, beep, 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 if you're interested or if you haven't really played Destiny, please leave or come back in like a minute. So they actually killed Kate, which is both a great and awful thing. Like I was very sad when he died. He was my favorite character.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that they would kill a fan favorite just because like it tugs at your heartstrings. But at the same time, I guess like thinking about it now, they don't really have likable characters. Like I guess you could argue that if you like Ikora or Zavala, but I feel like they're very, in my opinion, they're very cardboard. Like without Kate, they don't have anything to balance their seriousness out.
I guess that's also true. Yeah, Kate was more of was like the comic relief to them, whereas don't really have that now. So, ugh.
And they barely interact. So,
and they don't interact. Nobody interacts with anybody except you. Like,
hey, guess what? You're like the spokesperson for the Vanguard. Hey, please talk to Ikora for me. I'm too like angry at her to like send a text message.
I'm too far away.
Yeah, I am a 200 meter walk away from her. I'm sorry, please talk to her. Bye.
Please don't make me walk all the way there.
Yeah. We might be guardians, but like I can't be bothered doing that shit. But yeah, I definitely think year two was its peak. The DLC was fantastic. Forsaken was amazing. Last Wish, my god, holy shit! The hardest raid, especially like especially because when we first started Destiny, it was just about I think a month after Forsaken launch, and while learning that raid, it was so difficult. We spent like hours and hours trying to figure it out, and like my god, it truly was a fantastic raid. Like I think that's still my favorite raid. Might be looking at it with like very rose-tinted glasses.
But no, actually, I agree. I think Last Wish was just the pinnacle of raids almost. Like it was just so good. Like Last Wish was just really, on another level compared to like even compared to Scourge of the Past and Crown of Sorrow. I mean, those were really good in their own way, of course. I think those were superb. But Last Wish was just on another level. It was just so good, so mysterious, so fun.
And there were so many like interesting puzzles. Like the fact that like didn't they had to extend the time for like when like people could get the emblem just because like the first team that did it in like was it 25 hours? Or just under 24 hours.
I think the first team did do it like in just under 24 hours, and then the second team did it in like 24:02, I think.
Yeah, right.
Dato's team said.
Oh, but yeah, that tells you how hard the raid is. I mean, if you couldn't tell, Destiny is sort of that kind of game where you really raids are like the main end game content, and people go really hard on that, and it's a very, you got to put a lot of dedication into it, and it's understandable if you're casual and you don't really like that kind of thing. But especially for us, we really got into it, and it was extremely, extremely fun. The puzzles and everything, like the difficulty made it so good to finish.
Yes, I agree. It was just so good. Like when we did our first clear, first non-Sherpa clear. It was such a great feeling. We took 17 hours to do over like a couple days to finish it like with 6 of us, and we didn't really know how to do it. Like we'd either not done it at all, or we've done just like one run with a Sherpa.
Yeah.
And we took 17 hours to do it. And when we finally did it, it was like the most euphoric feeling. It was so good.
I am very certain we screamed and cheered when we finally did it.
Yes. Yeah, we did. I remember that moment. It was great.
Just like getting that last hit on Riven and just like scream, yes, we fucking did it. We finally did it.
Yes.
It was so good. It really was.
Good times.
Such fond memories.
Yeah, I really do have such fond memories. That's what I miss about like Destiny.
Yeah.
Having all those like really fond memories of raiding with the boys, but like
with the fellas, the crew, the gang.
yeah, with the crew.
Right, but moving on a
yeah.
bit from Forsaken, like there was also Season of the Forge, which was the Black Armory season where you could craft special weapons from Ada 1.
Yeah, that was okay. Like the forges were fine. A bit grindy, yeah, and Izanagi's Burden was definitely grindy. Yeah, but otherwise it was okay, I guess. Like I found it. I think I found it. Like I have memories. I have a lot of memories of Season of the Forge, but I think that's just because like we joined around Season of the Forge.
Mm-hmm.
So like I thought, wow, this is so fun. I've never played anything like this. Like what the heck? This grind is like quite cool. And then they kept doing it over and over again. And then I was like, oh, so this is what a grind is. It's not that fun.
Yeah, right from the get-go, I actually hated Season of the Forge. Like I only did it because the weapons in there at the time were so meta and so good. Like the LMGs, the Izanagi's Burden was insane.
Hammerhead had a place in the meta until it got sunset.
Yeah, right. Insane. Like the fact that they had to nerf Izanagi's in like year 3 just because everyone was like raiding the shit, like just destroying bosses with it. Like goddamn.
Yep.
I guess that's sort of a sign of things to come. Like it's quite grindy, but at the very least, this one had like good weapons to make up for it. So debatable whether or not like it had its place.
Mm-hmm.
And the next season is Season of the Drifter, which actually a lot of people disliked and hated, but I personally was okay with it, aside from the fact that they lacked the raid during that season.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that there wasn't a raid that season, but you and I were both big fans of Gambit, so we thought the season was fine. We liked Gambit Prime a lot. That was great.
Right. So for those of you unaware, Gambit is this sort of PvE/PvP kind of arena where there are 2 teams of 4 that go around killing monsters and collecting this thing called motes, which are basically sort of like points that monsters drop dependent on like their difficulty, HP size, etc. Right, like their quality. And the first team to 75 wins around, and it's a best out of 3. And the fun part was that every 25 motes you banked in, a teammate of yours could go over to the other team's arena for 30 seconds and kill them just so they would lose the motes that they were carrying, like they were physically carrying, in order to like sort of set them back, like either significantly or just be a general nuisance to them.
Yeah, it was great. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, and Gambit Prime took that to the next level by adding more maps, adding sort of like different mechanics in the game.
Right. Yeah. And I thought that was great. Like Gambit Prime was actually quite the improvement. Like collecting the unique armor sets, like the Collector, Sentry, Invader.
Right.
They were all really good. I really like those. I really like the theme, but like the whole, it all comes down to like the amount of stuff that you need to have without having a loadout system was such a pain in the ass. Like you had way too many armor sets and no way to just quickly swap out other than like using DIM or the companion app. Like that part was a real pain.
So one thing that was good about Gambit Prime, like you said, was that whole armor set thing, because in Gambit a lot, like, especially I think more casual players who don't really understand, like, it's like people just go around, kill, get the modes, and then like suddenly like die when an invader comes in, like, they aren't particularly aware of their surroundings. And while they didn't exactly have a Gambit competitive mode, the game mode itself was, by and large competitive. It's almost like a battle royale where it's innately like quite competitive where you pit the team against another.
Yeah. It was basically PvP, but it was more like I don't know how you would say, like PvEVP, I guess.
Yeah, it's a very, very unique concept that I don't think I've really seen in other games, or at least not games that I know of. And up to this, I still really enjoy Gambit. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So right back to my original point, what the sets did was sort out what things you do. So there was the Reaper set, the Invader set, the Collector set, and the Sentry set. So the Reaper set was like, if you wore the full set, like, it give you buffs on like stuff like killing enemies. If you kill enemies in a certain amount of time, like you get like infinite grenades or something like that.
Yeah.
And Collector collects the modes, runs around, collect. Sentry just watches out for like invaders, which by the way in Gambit Prime, instead of like getting up to a certain amount of modes in order to invade, you get to invade once every 30 or 45 seconds, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And then the invader, well, I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So yeah,
just get buffs when
it really it really like gave a way for the more dedicated players of Gambit to really find the role and like be put there, and like everyone is like very clear on what they want to do, and it made the team more cohesive, even if like we were all like just vandals playing with each other.
Yeah, I agree. I think overall, it was a okay season. A bit underwhelming because of the lack of raid, but overall, I thought it was fine. But popular opinion is that most people didn't really like it because most people don't really like Gambit. So
yeah. So that was quite the controversial season.
Well, that's just the beginning of the controversial seasons.
Ooh, right. But they managed to bounce back with the next season of Opulence.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, sure. Season of Opulence was pretty cool. They had the menagerie. So the menagerie was a how would you put it? It's sort of like an arena, but like it was an arena with a bunch of different activities. Like it was likened to a mini raid, which is probably the perfect explanation for it. It really was just like a mini raid. So like it was there were certain like raid-like activities that you could do in the menagerie, and you had to sort of like work together with your team in order to complete the stage, move on to the next phase, and then just keep doing that for like I think it was like 3-4 times, and then you would get to the final boss. And the final boss had like had phases, just like an actual raid boss. You had to get it to its damage phase, and then unload all your damage there, and then hopefully one phase it. If you didn't kill it in one phase, you had to wait for the second damage phase to come around. So it was like a raid for casuals, I would say, and that was really fun.
Yeah.
I thought that was I think in general it was a great season because the weapons that you get from that were also really good.
Yeah. And I believe, it introduced that mechanic of like farming for, getting the runes that you want and farming for a particular weapon. Like there was a cheat sheet you could use, and like, it was what people were asking for, to like farm for specific weapons, and like to have some form of, less RNG in the matter. I mean, there was still some RNG in terms of like stats and like, the bonuses, but still you got to like farm at least the weapon that you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. And that was great. Like, you get to farm the exact weapon that you want. Like, it's awesome. The exact weapon or even the exact armor piece that you need. Like, it's I think that was really good. Like the targeted loot. This was the start of like them introducing essentially a way to get targeted loot with every activity, basically, like with every seasonal activity. Okay, so the next thing in Opulence was the raid. The raid was really good. Crown of Sorrow was a fantastic raid that was pretty unique because it encouraged you to work in teams of 2 for basically the entire raid, and I think that was a really cool, unique way to do a raid. And it was really punishing if you don't have good teamwork and you don't know what you're doing, which I thought was very fun. Like having that sort of like nuclear condition that you really had to work together, or else you will fail. You will fail. Like it's not like another raid where maybe you could cover for somebody if they're like not doing anything, or you can just stick one person on enemy clearing, just killing the enemies. In this one, you really had to. Everybody had to know what they're doing, and you couldn't just be carried through it, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah, it definitely, it really had that spirit of like the raids, because raids are all about teamwork and coordination and like especially at the start, it was a hot mess. People didn't understand that new mechanic. Everyone was just screaming at each other. Why did we die? Why did we die? I don't get what's going on.
Oh my god, I remember that. It was great.
And for a non-expansion raid, I think that has been one of the best raids that they've put out.
Definitely, yeah, it was so good. I played that until like I knew how I could do that raid with my eyes closed. Freaking played that so much.
Wow, let's try it.
No
speed run any percent.
No eyes challenge.
Blindfolded. But yeah, it really had this it had this great like environment, unique mechanics, and I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, but the only problem for me was that the name of the exotic was Taraba, and like it seemed it was terrible. Haha. Thank you. I'll be here all day.
Go away.
Right, but yeah, goodness, it really was a subpar mediocre SMG that was outclassed and outshined by just about every other exotic SMG, and even like legendary SMGs could beat it.
Wild how bad it was. I don't know why they did that. Like, damn.
Bungie has this weird thing where I feel like it's very hard for them to release a balanced weapon just because it usually gets like either too mediocre or just way too good for their own good, and they don't balance it quickly enough.
Yeah, pretty much. Like they really do have an issue with like balancing. Even now, they're like their answer to balancing was sunsetting, and that was cancelled. So back to the nerf grind, I guess. But yeah, so that was not good. But like the raid itself was fun. I think the raid itself was fun. Overall, year 2 was a good year. I think the best year in Destiny. Having stuff like, of course, there were some maybe not so great things like having Recluse at Mountaintop was a very toxic combo in like PvP, but it was very fun in PvE. So I think I guess it's a toss up, but I just thought it was just a really fun year. Maybe because it was our first year, but I think it was just overall a very fun year, and I think you would see that sentiment echoed across like many forums and stuff like that.
Even taking off the rose-tinted glasses and like looking at it from an objective point of view, I still believe that year 2 was the best year they had.
Definitely, especially when you compare it to year 3 and 4.
Oh boy, let's get into that. So year 3 started with the Shadowkeep expansion, which was basically this other sort of faction of race called the Hive, which are nasty little things. And yeah, I think it was fun. They did a bunch of weapon balancing and tweaking, which was people were begging for it just because, like, seriously, some of the older year 1 exotics were so outclassed.
Oh yeah,
like the power creep was painful.
Power creep hurt. Like power creep really hit.
The activities and expansion, I think there was a comeback of the character called Ares Mon from Destiny 1, and I think in general the story was just cool. I didn't have any issues with it.
Yeah.
I don't think it was amazing, but I think it was good and fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think the story in Shadowkeep was fine. It was a good story. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the activities were fine, like Vex Offensive and Altar of Sorrow. They were fine. They were just sort of regular horde mode activities that I did maybe like 20 times, and then I kind of got bored. Like I only did Vex Offensive for the Undying title at that point, so yeah.
Right. The fact that asked about it and hyping up this thing when like nothing big really happened in the Vex Offensive was also kind of like
wild. Like what the heck? They were hyping up Vex Offensive as if it was like the freaking Destiny 3. Like what the heck? Wasn't that good? Damn. But I get that they have to, but like shit, talk about unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, right. You're just setting yourself up to fail, man.
Like really?
Like if you want to hype something up, make a proper event or something, or like hype up like the good thing, like Pit of Heresy, which was the second dungeon after 2 years of like Destiny 2, which was
great,
a very welcome addition. I think people are very excited for it.
I think it was a great dungeon. I think people people aren't too fond of it now, but I think that's because they compare it to like the dungeons of like year 3 and 4. Which I guess, I mean, it's fair. I'm not going to say it's not fair to compare to those dungeons, but like, when when you compare it to them, I guess it's sort of lacking, but I think at the time it was still very good. Like, it was still a fun dungeon. It was like a mini raid, basically. I liked it.
Right, actually, I meant to make a correction. So the previous dungeon, which was Shattered Throne, was made in year 2, so actually it's 1 year apart. But that dungeon was so great.
I really like Shattered Throne.
Yeah.
It was more complex than Pit of Heresy, and it had more like those little like the wish ender and the eggs. It had those like little Easter eggs, I guess you would call them.
Yeah, there were so many secrets, and there was the whole wish ender quest was like really really cool. Even though that one was sort of time data, I believe you had to do it over a span of 3 weeks. But the thing is, each of those 3 weeks you did something different. Like there was like the weird grabbing the orb and like bringing it. Oh wait, no, it wasn't over a span of 3 weeks. Like you had to do many different processes.
Yeah, it was like, and that's what made it fun. Like those even with a guide, you would still be kind of confused. it was just that deep.
Yeah, it was like sort of like finding out many like secrets about it. Like
Yeah.
and the entire lore of Forsaken and like the freaking Ascendant Plane and all that. It was really really cool.
Yeah.
There was a lot more effort put into Forsaken, I feel.
Yeah. There really was. Sadly.
Speaking of that, what's worse is that the Pit of Heresy had this how I describe it, heretical
Wow.
controversy. Right, so the controversy was that usually for dungeons and like these kinds of activities, there are actually sort of like secrets you can find that unlock like themed cosmetics. But the problem with Pit of Heresy was that they removed that and they actually put it in the Eververse, like to be sold as like for silver, which is the in-game currency which you have to buy with money.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't that really didn't go over well, did it?
Yeah.
People were annoyed as shit, but like that was just the start. Like now, this is kind of the norm. Eververse has the cooler themed stuff, and like it's like bright dust values. I mean the rate at which you get bright dust has been lowered significantly. It's this is kind of the norm now, sadly.
Right.
But this was the start of it.
And the sad part is also around this time, like, Bungie broke off with Activision. Initially everyone thought it was for the better of the company, but like, as you'll be able to tell, especially like what we're about to say later, like things are not going very well right now.
That's for sure.
So after Shadowkeep, oh right, the raid was good. It was pretty good.
It was good. Garden of Salvation was fun, really fun. I loved Garden of Salvation.
It wasn't Last Wish, but it was a very good.
It was a very
I
good
would
raid,
say.
yep, definitely. Was no Last Wish, but the Vex theme and the final boss they were all really good.
Right. So here comes the decline after Shadowkeep. So after this, they said that they wouldn't do any more seasonal raids, and raids will only come once a year in the big expansions.
Dun dun dun. Beginning of the end.
Horrifying.
But for real.
Yeah. So the next season was Season of Dawn, and I think that's when a lot of the main issues everyone was having became super apparent due to the lack of content. Like,
Yep.
at that point, a lot of people had been complaining, and like I'm included as well. Destiny became more of a chore than something that was like fun to grind, or like you didn't really feel like you accomplished anything other than doing like daily bounties of necessities. You would have to run around basically what is essentially the home map, and all these like NPCs scattered around, and you have to buy this thing called bounties from them. Which, by the way, you had also limited inventory space for them. So what?
Which was so dumb.
And it was really tedious. You had to wait like 5 minutes to load into the freaking tower, get everything, get out, decide what game mode you want to grind first, and do this and that, just so you could level up the battle pass, which they had introduced in year 3, the Shadowkeep.
Yep. Yeah, that was also the beginning of their battle pass system. Yeah.
Yeah, and in Shadowkeep, I grinded that battle pass like crazy. I went up to level 250. Like, I believe you get rewards up to level, what was it, 100 or 200?
If I'm not mistaken, it was you got like the main rewards until level 100, and then after that it was like you got like I think it was a bright engram like every 10 levels or something.
Yeah, you're right. So I got like this crappy bragging right of like leveling up to 250
Wow.
something levels. Yeah, but at the end of the day, my love for Destiny had been diminishing. Me and Fan had been playing Destiny every day for like a full year, and like, it was such a fun game. We really enjoyed it, but it started having this huge decline. And with their new so-called theme for this season, it was some really lame grinding thing where it's almost like you had to upgrade like this thing where you complete bounties and you get some points to upgrade, like sort of like almost like a home base in a couple of select planets. Almost like a mobile phone game if I think about it.
Level up your base.
Yeah, God. Yeah, and there was also that Trials of Osiris and the going back to Mercury to do some stuff there and get some weapons and whatnot.
Trials of Osiris was bad. Like, Trials of Osiris really wasn't. It's still not good. Like, Trials of Osiris has so much trouble to this day because of hackers and boosters and all that shit. Trials of Osiris was just, like, not good. Like, overall, that was just quite a miss in general. They should have really launched it better. For one thing, get a better anti-cheat. Like, the amount of cheaters and Trials has, like, gone way overboard. Like, back then, it was the same. Now, it's the same. Like, they really need to step up this anti-cheat. Like, oh my god. Like, I don't play it anymore, but when I did, it was horrendous.
Oh, hey, look, they spent $1 billion to get away from Activision to be able to sell you bright engrams. Okay, like, come on.
Oh yeah, oh my bad. I should just let them sell me the bright engrams.
The fact that they can't even like buy like a license for something like, something as easy as Battle Eye Easy anti-cheat or like just any anti-cheat service. Come on.
Just any one of them, please.
Please, like, this is the bar that we've set. It's so low. Like, I'm begging you to use one of these. Like, not like even Battle Eye is very controversial.
Yeah, right. Like,
we are begging you to use something.
Just anything.
Yeah, especially because I played a lot of PvP. At one point I grinded up to legend. Like, I can't believe I did that, which was insane.
Pro,
I got not forgotten. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, I'll get you not forgotten. Just pay me $70.
Well, that's too expensive. I can't. Sorry, that's too much.
Yeah, but you can buy skins, huh?
Wow, we don't talk about that.
All right, but yeah. And this is really where Bungie has felt like the next season was basically a reskin repeat of this season. Like this season that we just mentioned, Season of Dawn, like this same mechanics, whatever.
Yeah.
I think, mid Season of Dawn was when I quit, and I heard that there was a new season. I was excited because, like, oh my god, maybe there's something new. Like, maybe this was just a filler season and like we can get over it. But when I heard it was literally just like reskin content, I was shocked. Like, I know Bungie like sometimes makes like really content, but to the point where they reskin it was like a new low.
Yeah, they're right. Like, damn, that was not good. Season of Worthy was quite a reskin.
It was quite unworthy, you could say.
Yeah, it literally was. It was quite unworthy. Like, ugh.
Yeah, when I heard about it, I didn't even launch Destiny. I just heard what Fun had to tell me about the new season. I'm like, alright, dude, I'm done. I'm not launching Destiny.
Yeah, and that's all. And of course, no raid until year 4, basically. So that was fun. And then Season of Arrivals, it was a well-received season within the community because it was like they didn't tell you anything about the season beforehand, and when it launched with like huge story beats and like just a lot more content than you would expect because they set such a low expectation already. So this one launched with a lot more content you would think, and the seasonal event was like a public event, and it was, I didn't really like it, but the community at large really liked it, so I guess that was something that people liked. And the story was really good. It was leading up to Beyond Light. They introduced like the darkness and how they sort of just developed the story behind the darkness so that you don't feel like you're just fighting a nameless enemy, which was nice, which was definitely a good thing, I think. But yeah, that was like, it was mostly the story was the number one thing it had going for it. And I didn't like the public event sort of seasonal activity. I think that was quite bad, and the fact that it was such a grind, and it was so hard to like complete perfectly because like it was just many things. It was like a very annoying swarmy type of game. So it was meh.
I mean, honestly, like just public events themselves, like players, it's always been a controversial thing because like in order to make a heroic public event, you have to do like certain like you have to get like certain tasks completed that are like not mentioned, and like a lot of players, like in fact a lot of casual players don't know that, and since like it's sort of like in a public server you can't really control what they do, and there's no expectation of coordination, so it's always been really controversial right from the beginning. And like the fact that they did like an event like this
was just like
oof. I don't know, that seems a bit
that was
yeah, that's a big oof.
That was a
like
big oof. Like damn, the way they just did that, like oh man, maybe shouldn't have done that. Like,
maybe like play your game or listen to the player base. Like
no.
I don't know. Bungie's sort of like the type where it's like, oh, we fuck up, and then you just apologize 3 months later. Like, we're listening. Sort of like an abusive husband.
Wow. I guess there's one way to put it.
But
yeah.
I've been very hurt by Bungie. But no, actually, I speaking of which, I have been really ticked off by Bungie. Like year 3, I pre-ordered the content. Like, yes, I know, pre-ordering and whatnot. Like,
but it was good.
I guess I got what I deserved, right? Like,
I also pre-ordered.
It's very it's very controversial to pre-order, but like I figured like since I'm going to be committing to this game and I've been very committed to this game, I really didn't think like they could have like fucked it up to this level. Seriously, the fact that I quit mid-season of Dawn after playing for a full year and like the activities were just so miserable.
Yes.
It got to a point where like I had so little to do, I started farming for year 1 weapons, which I didn't have, like the exotics and whatnot.
I remember that.
Yeah, I got every single exotic, like just to fill up the collection.
Just to fill time at that point.
Like, I mean, I guess you could say I was pretty dedicated to Destiny. And the worst part is that was the Warmind exotic, and it was very out of meta. It sucked. It was nerfed to the ground. I just wanted to have it in the collection just to say I had all exotics.
Yep. So yeah, that was not fun.
So, of course due to that, I've been very, very burnt by Bungie, the fact that I wasted my money on a year where they didn't give a shit about the players. They just kept making things worse and worse, introducing like sunset. They want to say stuff about quality of life, but they only talked about it like in season of arrivals, and like, oh yeah, of course the quality of life things will only be available from Beyond Light onwards. Like, yeah, do I really want to pay you more money just to like get quality of life updates like after you've burnt me? Like, hell no.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so obviously this has become a very love and very hate relationship.
It's very love and very hate. I agree.
Yeah, like I miss year 2 so much. Like,
same. Yeah.
God, like things really have gone downhill from then, and I haven't touched Destiny in about a year and 3 months at this point.
Yeah. As for me, I've played quite a bit of Destiny, I guess. I recently got back into Beyond Light, and I thought it was okay, but it didn't give me the same feeling that Forsaken did. It was just, I thought the story was good. I thought the raid was really good. I really like the raid.
Oh, wait, did you buy the expansion?
Yeah, I bought the expansion. I bought Beyond Light. So I thought that was fine. The story was good. The darkness powers are really nice. Gotta admit that the darkness powers were really fun. Raid was good, and like I guess that was really it. And like, Europa is a really nice place. It's a really nice planet. If you're not aware, Europa is the new planet that they introduced with Beyond Light, and that was it. Like I just dropped it after like 40 hours. I was like, oh, I guess I don't really feel like playing anymore, so I just dropped it. I was like, oh, guess I'm done now.
Yeah, and
it's kind of sad. Like I just didn't feel the want to even play Destiny anymore after some point. It was like, I just don't want to play it.
I think it I hope it doesn't sound too like cringe or anything, but like it definitely hurts to like feel like the game that you've enjoyed and loved and played so much after so long like just have a very massive decline, and the fact that it's been going on for so long and it doesn't seem to be improving much, if at all.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And the fact that Bungie keep saying shit like, oh, we're listening, but you can tell that they become more greedy and
It's more profit focused, yeah.
it's gotten to a point where like I don't think anyone wants to like defend them anymore.
Yeah, and that's even before we even touched on sunsetting and transmog. Like,
oh boy.
so sunsetting was when they decided to put an expiration date on every piece of armor and weapon. So essentially, you can use a weapon for about a year, and then after that it will be sunset. So that included weapons that you've earned before before like that update where they introduced sunsetting. Like they would all be expired in year 4 when Beyond Light comes out. Those weapons would be sunset and you wouldn't be able to use them anymore. So
yeah, hey, so remember the 100 hours you spent trying to get mountaintop? Yeah, fuck you.
bye. Yeah, screw you. You're out. No one mountaintop.
Yeah, get
recluse, nothing. Like I get that the game was just getting more and more OP, but like this really wasn't the way to fix it. Like because it was so poorly done. Like they shouldn't have just like removed so many of our weapons without replacing them. They removed like about 75% of the weapons and they added like 14 weapons in. Like what the heck? You're supposed to add a lot more weapons than that to replace all of the weapons that we're losing, right? Like especially many of them were like god rolls that we spent hours and hours and hours trying to farm, and they just sunset,
right?
And it was like all your effort's gone. Like the hell, I don't want that.
Yeah, like as an existing long time player, like how would you feel if like it's all the gear you've worked so hard for, spent thousands of hours for, like, or just gone in an instant, like,
right? Like what the heck?
I mean, it's not to like ask for like, oh, I should be exclusive, I should be the most powerful, but it's like you spend effort into like getting all these things, like it's almost like an in-game accomplishment at that point, and it's just like Bungie's just like, haha, we're removing it and you have no recourse. Bye.
Yeah, that was the whole point. Like all your efforts is gone. Like you have nothing now. Like you have nothing to show for all that you've done, right? Like
I feel like a lot of things about Bungie could be said, like regarding like, oh, they could have done this better, or maybe they shouldn't have done that, or maybe they should just listen to the players. Like again, recurring issue, almost like a toxic relationship of like an endless cycle of like, okay, yeah, we fucked up, oh yeah, we're sorry, we're listening.
Yeah, basically, right? Like it's a vicious cycle at this point. But yeah, so that was awful. But they reversed sunsetting recently, like a month ago. I think they reversed sunsetting and they said like, okay, this was not the way to do it. We still want to explore ways of making sure that we're not too overpowered and that nothing is a challenge. But we realize this wasn't the way to do it, and blah blah blah. PR speak. So.
Farhan, I wasn't even here for this news and I'm getting flashbacks.
Right?
Seriously, the amount of times that this has happened, again, it's really like a weird, abusive, toxic relationship where it just...
Yeah, right?
They keep screwing up and not listening, and then they were like, oh yeah, okay, they give us this really half-assed like PR statement. Okay, we realize this isn't the direction we want to take. Like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, they should have done that like when everyone was very pissed off when sunsetting was introduced. So,
or maybe don't do that at all.
Yeah, or don't do that.
Or like actually hire a team to balance your weapons. If you can freaking hire, like make everything cost real life money, like in the Eververse. Like, I think you can invest some goddamn money into like improving the quality of life of your game. The fact that I have to use a third party website and service to like change my weapons on the go, like what the
yeah, right.
Like the inventory management is such hell. It's literally doing a chore. Like, oh hey, I'm going to cruise for time to bring like my 9 sets of weapons and armor, which I really like, which have the god rolls I've been working for. Sunset.
Goodbye. Sunsetting.
Goodbye. Seriously, Bungie has such a long history of screwing up just for everything and never learning their lesson. And again, it's just getting worse and worse because they're just getting more and more greedy. And it really shows.
It really does. And that's not even covering transmog. So essentially, that's a system that it's in many MMOs. It lets you make one armor piece look like another one. So like you don't have to wear the ugly armor that has the best stats just so that you can, have the better stats. You can just make it look like your other favorite piece of armor. That's really nice. Then you can have like a good fashion game going, right? So they boy, they added 3 different currencies just to get to the point where you can do the transmog. It was like synth. It's like this whole synth streams, like synth weave, synth core, synth nonsense. Like there were 3 different currencies that you get to. You have to farm for one thing. So you farm for this material by like killing enemies, right? And then you have to go to Ada 1. Ada 1 will sell you bounties, and like with those bounties you can collect synth weave, right? And then once you have and then once you have synth weave, then you can finally do your transmog, but it's kept to 10. Was it 10 per class? 10 per class per season. So you can only transmog 10 things per season, per class, per character.
Like, what on earth? Why? First of all, it's so insane that you have to grind so much just for that. And second of all, the fact that they put a limit, like, what the hell?
And what is the way? You can also just pay up some silver. That doesn't count towards the cap.
Yeah.
And you can just pay some silver, skip the grind, So cool.
Oh yeah, Destiny free-to-play game, right? Wink, wink. Not even counting the fact that players have already spent hundreds of dollars on their DLC, which they should already have the money to fucking fund what the fuck they're doing. Right, and to really emphasize on Bungie's greed, they have decided to make shaders cost 7 times more than what they used to.
It was like 650% more. It was from 40 to 300 bright dust.
I mean, it's about the same. Yeah. I mean, the fact that they're just like fucking nickel and diming you like fucking 650, 700%, like just those are just high numbers. That's the thing. Like, good lord. Like, the fact that this should have just been a regular quality of life feature to be able to change the goddamn colors of your freaking armor, like, and they made it just cost so much more.
Right? It was this just happened, like I think it was this week at Bungie, and they dropped this bomb. And the worst part is people have been wanting transmog for like years, since Destiny's like inception 7 years ago. People have wanted transmog, and they do it like this. Like, people are rightfully really pissed off. Like, damn, people are so angry at how they made it so grindy, or how you can just skip the grind by like, oh, you can cough up a couple dollars and just skip the grind. Like, people are really not happy with this, understandably so. It's just so scummy. Like, it just feels dirty. Like, it's so awful.
And I'm gonna be honest, like, it's just, there's no way to say it, but other than like Bungie was just finding a way to nickel and dime the transmog system, just purely because they said this, which should have raised a huge red flag. They mentioned like, fans have been asking for transmog like thingy for like 7 years. The fact that they admitted that they knew that this was going on and they didn't provide it for 7 years only to come up with this scummiest system. They knew exactly what they were doing.
They did, yeah. It's very clearly it was very clearly a business decision to make it so grindy, or the fact that you can just skip the grind by paying. This was definitely a bad business decision, in my opinion. Like, I mean, good as in it's good for business, but bad as in it ruins a lot of goodwill from the players, which is also very important for business, like, as you should know. Like, what the heck?
What are you talking about? It's Bungie. They are like the masters of pissing off their like fan base. Like,
that's for sure. Oh, God.
I have played mobile gacha games that have pissed off less people by doing like scummy shit than like what Bungie has done.
Wow, is that hint for the potential next episode? What?
Well, honestly, it's just
no, it's just angry.
That wasn't my intention, but the point being that Bungie has really taken their greed to the next level, and I don't know who the hell is in charge over there, but they need to up their game, man. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna be full on Karen.
Years ago, like,
they need to. I want to speak to the manager. Like, they're doing a horrible job.
Well, I mean, Luke Smith is like stepping down, so we can hopefully get a manager that doesn't suck. But then again, he's only going behind the scenes, so maybe not.
Yeah, I think he's just going. I think he's just like showing himself less, as in like he's just not gonna be out in the public eye too much. I think that's the only real difference. And like Joe Blackburn is taking the lead on talking to the people now. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so he's finally decided to take the Jeff Bezos route of like, oh yeah, let's forget all the shitty things I did. Now that I'm in the back lines, I get to criticize all this like shit that like my company has done, even though I was the one who made all these decisions.
It's
yeah,
epic.
Luke Smith, you get him. You go mini Jeff Bezos of Destiny.
Mr. Smith. But yeah, so this is that was a very nice sort of almost like a nice collection of all of Bungie's screw ups over the past few years.
There's so much things you can get into Destiny that's like wrong. The fact that they keep doing shit like this, and like we haven't even come up with like the full list of what's wrong with the game. Like again, inventory system, like oh hey, we're listening. Oh, we should make it easier for players to have loadouts and stuff. The fact that there isn't an in-game loadout system
is wild. Like for a game that requires different armor sets, like what?
Yeah, did you know Team Fortress 2 has fucking loadouts, and it's not nearly as complex as Destiny, a looter shooter with hundreds of gear and armor and weapons. Like, what? Are you freaking kidding me?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, man. Time to play Team Fortress 2. I can't wait to get Izanagi's burden on the sniper.
Yeah, of course. So it's just sad. Like I really like Destiny, and it's sad just because I actually like Destiny, and I like the shooting, and I just like everything about Destiny except the core gameplay loop. I hate that.
Yes.
Like just because it's so.
I totally agree.
It's just so bad. Like the core gameplay loop is it's just gotten too grindy, and like with how Bungie are like treating their consumers now, it's like it's not a game that I want to get invested in anymore.
Yes, I totally agree. The way we criticize this game has been very harsh, just because we love it so much, and to see it like fall from grace to such a degree is just good God.
It's just sad. Yeah, like I wish it wasn't this. I wish this wasn't the case, but like sadly it is, and we gotta call it out for what it is. So
yeah, hey Bungie, if you're listening to our double-digit subscribers, I'm sure you
triple digit actually.
Triple
digit followers.
Nice.
We made it.
Oh hell yeah, we're famous.
Yeah,
basically. All right, with all this said and done, Bungie, good lord, hire a second raid team so that you can make raids once every 6 months, which means each raid team has like enough buffer time to like
make a damn raid,
like work on the raid. Yeah, or if not, you can even have like 2 raids per year or something like that, like which gives like what? Yeah, just give them enough time to do their stuff, make the content that people want, and also please hire more teams to balance, make content, whatever. So many glaring problems that have never been solved for years. Balancing has always been an issue in Bungie, and like just take the nuclear option of sunsetting. Oh, let's just introduce more weapons because God, I don't know how balance is, more power creep. Let's make something even more powerful and be like, shit, we fucked up. I'm going to nerf this to the ground.
Yeah, it's like
seriously, it's the same cycle. I've seen mobile gachas that have better like freaking like quality assurance and balancing mechanics. Like what the hell?
Yeah, it's just a shame. Like if they ever magically somehow sort this out, then I would be more than happy to come back to the game. But as of now, I'm definitely not keen to come back anytime soon. So yeah, it's because this game is just doesn't tickle my fancy these days. It's just too painful to sit through.
Yeah, the tickling has sort of gone from like to like please stop. I hate this so much.
Yeah, basically.
Also, given that I didn't make jokes or puns for like the last 2 seasons, I would like to do so right now.
Yeah, right.
Yes, okay, so season of arrival, season of departure, haha, wink wink, I don't like Destiny no more.
So bad.
Year for Beyond Light, excuse me, Beyond Light, more like Beyond upsetting, haha.
I quit the podcast, bye.
Excuse me, these are A plus quality jokes. That look, Whatever the case is, my jokes are higher quality than fucking Bungie's balancing team.
Got him.
Got him.
But yeah, I just, like, anyways, just to like wrap this up a bit, I just hope, one day, one fine day, Destiny wakes up from this nightmare and they give us, and they realize, like, oh no, we have not been doing a good job, and they magically make a good game, which is not going to happen. So, pipe dream, I guess.
They have fallen to the darkness. They have lost the way of the traveler.
Yeah, wow. Who would have thought? Destiny's a meta commentary? Wow.
Oh, hell yeah.
But
it's like Destiny Year 1 again, but
my God.
only the problem is that they don't ever get back their traveler power.
No. But yeah, so
yeah, as harsh as like I've been on this game, I truly enjoy the shooting mechanics. It is such a fun game, and like the fact that there's all these like classes with like all these fun ultimates and synergies you can have with all the exotics, and like not just with weapons and with armors and everything. It's just the game has so much potential, and yet really just pissing it all down the drain so far, so quick.
That's for sure. I wish it wasn't that way, but I think they really are just sort of ruining it all. As dramatic as it sounds, I sound like some sort of like, I really don't know what I sound like. I sound like crazy.
A wistful old man
Yeah,
dreaming of days past.
I really do sound like some wistful old man. What the fuck?
Back in my day, we didn't have to grind this much.
See what you've done to me, Bungie.
Oh, it's okay, Grandpa. It's time to go to bed. No, but
Destiny back in my day, they didn't do this to me.
But yeah,
But yeah, maybe one day.
I hope Destiny 3 comes up, because I want to see everything change. I don't think I want to ever touch Destiny 2 again, because I've been so burnt by it. I'm just waiting for Destiny 3 to come out, and I pray to God that somehow it gets good and like they change the direction of what the hell they've been doing. And I don't know if like Luke Smith is some secret lizard like mastermind or something, like trying to like plan the downfall of Bungie. But please God, please stop touching the game, okay? Leave it alone. It's already dead.
It's already dead. Stop. And with that, on that note, thanks for listening to this episode. We know it's a bit longer than usual because there was just so much to cover that we just decided like maybe we should make this one like a 1 hour episode instead. So we hope you'll excuse us for that. Maybe this will take 2 lunch breaks instead of just 1. Sorry. So
grab yourself some dessert.
Yes. So
treat yourself.
And with that, thanks so much for listening to Bite Sized Pixels. I'm Farhan, she's M, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.
See you. Thank you so much for listening.